I got a very good presentation.
Thank you.
And what I really like about your presentation is that you're being very, very specific in terms of selecting the area, and definitely this is the most exposed area in Havana, no question about that. There is one aspect that you discussed in the technical report, and I was hoping that you discussed it here, and you did at the very end, that you said that it is better probably to implement these new improvements or techniques in new developments.
Yes.
And I have an idea how you do that, but I would like you to ask you if you were to make a recommendation, how would you implement that?
So we see here a lot in the U.S. is a lot of counties and communities implementing what they call watershed management plans, and within these plans they provide recommendations for the next many years of development and how to design to most effectively benefit the people as well as the stormwater quantity and quality. So as future developments are being made and these renovations are being created, we can slowly implement these practices. So in the next 100 years, you'll start seeing more green infrastructure areas pop up throughout the community.
Well, I would tell you that probably not. The best way to implement this is through the building permitting process. So when you go and apply to, in this case, in this municipal government in Havana, then it will be part of the requirement of your development that you implement these improvements. All right?
Okay. Great, thank you.
I noticed that in the bioretention cell that you showed here, you had it tied to the stormwater system. The one that you had in the paper was not. Is that a requirement that it work through the stormwater system? Because I don't know what the state of the sewer system is in Cuba, whether it's in complete disrepair and tying it to it will make things worse or not.
So an assumption that I made within all my developments is that the designs work within the current layout of the area, because I didn't have specific site plans to know where the low points were and where the storm sewer networks are currently located. In terms of the current state of the storm sewer system within Havana, I did not look specifically into that. But yes, they will be connected into the storm sewer system so that any excess water within the material has a way to leave.
Okay, a couple more questions. One related to the green roof that you were putting on the hospital.
Yes.
I am totally out of my expertise in here, but given the fact that you're going to be putting plant material on the roof, is that something that could cause health effects to the patient at the hospital? Has it been done anywhere else before?
It has been done, and actually, green roofs have shown to improve health within the building, and it actually assists when applying for here in America LEED certification. If you have a green roof, that helps in improving the health of the building.
Okay. A question with your permeable pavement.
Yes.
I saw in the written materials that I have, it was a 40% void aggregate mix below the permeable pavement itself. Your cost for the pavement itself and the mix and all that kind of stuff appeared low compared to what I'm familiar with here? And how much maintenance is there associated with aggregate material that has a 40% void factor in it? I have no idea. I'm just asking a question.
To that specificity, I am not aware. But one thing that I quickly mentioned at the end is that in developing countries, when it comes to maintenance and these tasks that you don't need specifically trained people to do, promoting volunteerism within the community in developing countries is a way to reduce costs associated with those, reduce labor costs associated with maintenance tasks.
So first I want to mention that you're attacking a real problem in Havana and you are proposing real solutions. So I'm really impressed, not just because for your proposing, but doing everything just using Google Maps. Wow, incredible you are able to do that using Google Maps, but you are suggesting real solutions, so you need to be real, you need to be practical. And I want to walk with you over some practical things. You know, so you selected Old Havana. You know why it's called Old Havana?
Because it's the first settlement within
Because
the
it was
area.
built by the Spaniards 2 centuries ago, and it was considered by the UNESCO as a World Heritage
Yes.
place. Do you know what that means?
That there is a goal to preserve and
Correct. So you need to preserve what you have in there. So
Yes.
let's take that into consideration for the practical things that you're proposing. So first, the bioretention cells. You are proposing to have that into a plaza. You cannot modify the plaza. So you need to look for green spaces. And I know you're using Google Maps, but you need to be practical.
Yeah.
You cannot modify the plaza because it's protected by the UNESCO. So
Okay. I wasn't aware that it was that like specific to
Yes.
like. Okay.
the second one, the permanent pavement, or that you're suggesting. Do you know that Old Havana already have pavement?
Permeable
That-
pavement?
Yeah, all the streets.
Oh.
So probably Google Maps
Yeah.
doesn't tell you that. And that was built by Spaniards 2 centuries ago. So I like your solution, but again, you need to think about practical. Do you know that Old Havana is right now being replacing all their streets? So this could be an excellent solution if you know what's happening in
Yes.
Havana right now. The green roof. First, you selected a hospital that is not in Old Havana. It's not. It's outside of Havana. And second, you are using a building that belongs to the government.
Oh.
And they're not going to have the resources to do that. So think about practical. What are the new buildings that are being built in Old Havana? Do you know?
No.
Hotels.
Hotels.
And they're massive.
Okay.
And they have money. So being practical, you need to think about the real solutions. Who has the money? International investors, hotels, and they're building. So great solutions that are happening in all Havana, and they're massive in terms of construction. And then the natural shorelines, yeah, I'm sorry to tell you that the Malecon cannot have natural shorelines. So again, I think that you are proposing solutions, but you need to be more knowing what is happening in the area that you're suggesting.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Obviously, you had contacted him first.
Actually, I second some of the things that were said here. I think your solutions are great, perhaps not for Cuba, but they're great for many reasons. One of the things, for example, the permeable pavement, actually it's called cobblestones, okay? And I don't know why it was removed, because I grew up with the street with cobblestones. The water went in through it. It was beautiful. And it did two other things. It reduced the traffic, the speed of the traffic, because it was bumpy, and it added a lot of flavor to a city. And going into a city like Antigua, Guatemala, in other words, it's completely cobblestones. It's magnificent. So it really accomplished what you have. Perhaps that also increases the amount of labor that is required to do things like that instead of having a machine doing it. The second thing is, regarding the roofs, you have to, when you add the green roof, you need to plan from when you build the building to actually have the structure to support the weight. You can't put a swimming pool on top of a building just because, okay, well, we have a roof. The amount of weight, the structure has to be designed from the ground up to support that. So in principle, it's great. But I don't know if it's really applicable to any existing building that was not designed to support that kind of weight. Third, regarding the water runoff, you have, in Bermuda, they do that in order to accumulate the water from rainfall, so they have cisterns. And many places they have that. You go to Masada in Israel, they have it. They have it in many places. It's an old way of doing it, and it's great, especially to hold runoff. But unfortunately, when you have like hurricanes, and we live in Miami, so we have quite a lot of experience with that, the amount of water runoff, it's impossible. However, I happen to live in Coral Gables, where there are no sewers, believe it or not. It's the very most expensive city, and there's no sewers. So we have this holes that are not connected to the sewer system, but allows for the permeation of water that will go from rain into, and will actually accelerate the amount of absorption. And finally, I dispute one thing you did, this association with Miami International Airport. That's inland, and we have a natural barrier called Miami Beach. I mean, we have a whole thing, and the airport is far away. If you would have chosen Key West, I would have said, okay, it's Well, it's exposed to it. But Miami International Airport, I don't think it's a valid model. But overall, I like your presentation, and I think the solutions may not be applicable to Havana, but I'm sure this is applicable to many, many other areas, and congratulations.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.